What's good, y'all? Back again. Another day. It's your boy, the Curtis York. We in here. You already know what time it is. You already know how we doing it. Your boy is here with the live until 5 again. Another day. We running it. We still going every day until we hit that 500 subscribers. So I don't know, man. As you can see, your boy has a clean face. I'm still getting used to it, dog. It's so weird looking at myself and seeing my face like this, y'all. I'm telling you, man. Like I'm really, really, really trying to get adjusted to seeing myself. Like my eyes, I don't know. It's weird. Like I don't have any facial hair whatsoever. Your boy got the body. I'm looking, I don't know, looking crazy, man. But we still rocking, man. We still here. It's still your boy. We still in the building. We still dropping it. So, yeah, man. Anyways, I did decide that I wanted to have a topic tonight. What we talking about is the middle class, and it's the middle class disappearing. You know, we still gonna laugh and we still gonna joke and we gonna have fun and all that good stuff. But I thought about this topic because my guy, shout out to my guy Jay, he sent me an article about the middle class disappearing. And as you know, I've been talking about the recession on and off. I recently lost my job, and it was due to market things. They tried to say it was something else, but I already knew what it was, so it was all good. And anybody that knows me knows that I was already planning and working on other things, so it was no shock. It was no surprise. And I just been paying attention to the economy. I've been paying attention to the market. I've been paying attention to inflation and the way the cost and everything's been going up. So we gonna dig into it, man. Then of course, anything y'all want to talk about, if y'all got questions or anything like that, we gonna get into that. But again, the middle class, y'all. Let's talk about it. I think the best way to start off a video like this is to first have a baseline understanding of what the middle class is, first and foremost. And then once you understand what the middle class is, then you can determine, if it's actually failing or what's going on with the middle class. So I'm gonna go ahead on and share my screen. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the Pew Research Center. They are a pretty reliable source in terms of data and things of that nature. I like rocking with the Pew Research Center. So let's go over there and see what they have to say about the middle class. So, first and foremost, this article is from 2022. So, I do want to disclose that to let you know that it's not this year's information or this year's data. Um, that's important to know because, things change. We don't know what 2023 looks like, and we probably won't get that data and information until sometime next year, maybe. But let's start with that, and then we're going to get into the actual article. Um, right here talks about how the middle class was shrinking and how it has been shrinking for the past 5 decades, which has been the past 50 years. Let me see. Here we go. This is the most important thing. This is where we want to start with. What is middle income or middle class? In this analysis, middle income adults in 2021 are those with an annual house income that was 2/3 to double the national median income, which would be about $52,000 to $156,000 in a household of 3 people. Lower income adults have households less than $52,000, and upper income adults have household incomes greater than $156,000. So the median income or the middle class per se would be used as any number between $52,000 and $156,000. So if you make $53,000, essentially you could be considered middle class. Now, there's a lot of different definitions of what the actual middle class is. But I'm just going to use this one for the sake of simplicity. And right here, it explains the terms middle income and middle class are used interchangeable in this analysis for the sake of exposition. But being middle class can refer to more than just income, be it level of education, the type of profession, economic security, home ownership, or one's social and political values. And then it says class could also could simply be a matter of self-identification, which if you play that line, it gets iffy because, you know what I'm saying, class isn't something that you could just say, oh, hey, I'm upper class and I identify as upper class. Because if you don't make enough money, then, you can identify as whatever you want. But the reality is you aren't considered in that class statistically. So I think they put that in there to be nice. But, if you don't make a certain amount of money, you're not middle class. It's just the numbers don't lie. So with that being said, now that we have a baseline understanding of what the middle class is, which we're saying between 52,000 and 156,000. If you make more than $156,000, then you're upper class, and if you make 52,000 or below, then you are lower class. Yeah, lower income. There we go. So we can look at that and we'll start there. Um, now, now that we have a baseline understanding, let's look at the actual article and then we can get into that. So let me pick that up. By the way, I see we got one person watching live right now. Don't know who that is. Go ahead on and identify yourself, who we working with tonight. Hopefully some more people pop in. I don't know. This topic, I like economics and I like data. So this right here is right up my alley, but a lot of other people, they might not be interested in this. So we'll see what happens. But I really enjoy talking about the economy and what's coming, the recession, which, recently I got into I wouldn't say it was a debate, but somebody was talking about one of my other videos about the recession, and they were saying that, the recession isn't here, and they were citing the GDP as a reason, the GDP being high, which is the gross domestic production being high. And they were saying that because the GDP is high, we're not experiencing a recession. And just because the GDP is high, that doesn't necessarily mean that we aren't in a recession, because the GDP is the production. It just matters. It just measures the output of businesses in totality. It doesn't talk about what's going on with the market or, what people are seeing. It doesn't factor inflation or anything like that. It just says this is what's made. So theoretically, the GDP could be extremely high and we're still in a recession. So, a lot of people try to sidestep things and they talk about other stuff that doesn't necessarily tie into the actual definition of what things are. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for that. I think the guy was a Biden voter, and I didn't mean to upset him or offend him, but I'm, I'm just going with the data. So let me see. The actual article was say goodbye to the middle class, and it was zero hit. Here it is. I don't want Twitter. I want the actual article. Why are you giving me Twitter? Here it is from Zero Hedge. All right. So remember what we said. We said in the last definition that the middle class is $52,000 or above, and the upper class or higher income is $156,000 and above. So right here, it says half of all of American workers made less than $40,847.18 last year. And last year being 22. So remember, 52,000, which means that most people are making between 11 and $12,000 less than what actual middle class is. So based off of that alone, yes, the middle class is disappearing. Um, just based off of the data and the numbers right there, if we all just looked it up and we agreed that 52,000 is the baseline, If you make less than 52, you're lower income. If you make above that, then you're middle income. And if you make 156,000, then you are upper income. Now, again, with that understanding, just based purely off that definition, then yes, it looks like the middle class is disappearing. Open and shut. Video over. Won't have anything else to talk about. But the question is why? Like, what's going on? Why are so many people making less than $52,000, which is the standard of middle class? And I don't know. I'm walking into this article blind. I said I wasn't going to read it. We were going to look at it together, and we were going to see if we could figure it out. Now I have some ideas, but let's see what we got. Needless to say, oh yeah, they said that the breakdown is about $3,400 a month before taxes. That's what you bring home if you make $40,000 a year. Um, During our current inflation crisis, the cost of living has been rising much faster than paychecks, and this is squeezing American families like never before. Right now, the national median price of renting a home is $1,978 a month. So after paying rent on a home, the average worker wouldn't have, excuse me, much left over for anything else, which I know for a fact it's true. I was making, I don't mind sharing. My last job, I was salary and I was making a low six figures after bonuses and all that good stuff. And, I definitely felt inflation. I remember thinking like, everybody was bragging about making six figures and having all this money. And I was just looking like, man, all these people bragging about making six figures, they must not really be making six figures because I make six figures and I don't feel like I'm making six figures. Now, then again, to be fair, I do have three kids and a wife. And this time last year, I had two kids and a wife. So, my circumstances aren't the average. I know a lot of people don't have children. And a lot of people do have children. Some people have more children than me. And I'd be trying to understand how they're making it, like, again. And I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole, man, but you get on social media and you look at people and you just start asking questions like, how is this possible, bro? Like, and it's not hate and it's not judgment, but you look and you see, like, what you make and what that looks like based off of what you see. And then you look at other people and it's like, well, dang, how are they doing that? Like, are they, like, what's going on? Something ain't adding up. The math ain't mathing. And when you ask questions like that, people think you're trying to be funny or people think you hating. But it's like, no, I genuinely want to know, because it's like, here I am making somewhat decent money. I think, because even that was still considered middle class, which, again, low six figures, unless you make over $156,000, then you're middle class, which, that's okay. It's middle class, so it's not great, it's not horrible. And I was just looking, trying to figure out, like, how, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I spending too much? Do I need to cut back? Like, what's going on in my house? Like, do we need to not eat out as much? Do we need to cut back? And bro, I started cutting back. Like, I wasn't buying sneakers as much as I was before. I didn't buy as many fitteds as I was buying. Like, I just really started chilling out because I was trying to do an inventory and determine what was going on with the money. Because it's like, I'm making this money that everybody said was so great and it should feel so great. But, it's nothing special. Like, granted, we could pay our bills. We could go on a trip maybe once, twice a year, if that, what I'm saying? But it wasn't this extravagant lifestyle that I look and I see, man. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Hey, I really, really, really don't get it. I don't understand. But let's dig a little deeper. Let's see what we got going on. Actually, owning a home is the most unaffordable that it's been since 1984. Buying and paying for a house costs Americans more now than at any point in almost 4 decades, thanks to strong demand and a limited supply of new homes. Even as mortgage rates have doubled in the past year, it now takes nearly 41% of the median household's monthly income to afford the payments on a median price home. according to the research from Intercontinental Exchange, the last time housing payments cost that much was 1984. And because I worked in custom home building, we didn't really see the housing market at the same aspect as most other builders, because the clients that we work with, they did everything in cash, or they had really good credit so they could get high loans at good interest rates. And the recession and things weren't really impacting them because they had the money. But one of my best friends is a track builder. He works for a home, and the track builder just means that they built the same house over and over, or they built the same two or three houses over and over. And he was saying that he notices an economic downturn because people aren't able to get loans in order to buy these houses. So you have a lot of people that want to buy homes, but number one, they're not making them fast enough. And number two, the mortgage rates are so high. A lot of people are afraid to even try to get into the housing market right now. So you got a lot going on at one time. That being said, let's move along, see what else we got. Just about everything has soared in price over the past few years, and those at the bottom of the economic food chain are being hit the hardest. Yes, that's true. Most of the country is in the exact same boat. In a desperate attempt to maintain their middle class lifestyles, millions upon millions of Americans have been taking on debt like never before. And as a result, we are now facing an unprecedented consumer debt bubble. And yeah, that's big, man. So, if you noticed earlier, I talked about how we've been cutting back, bro. Like, we just decided, it's going to be ugly right now. It's going to be rough, but we are just going to chill out. Like, we're not going to buy as much. We're not going to travel as much. We got the truck, and the only reason we got the truck was because we needed the truck, because we had a new family and trying to move everybody around, and the Nissan just wasn't cutting it. So we had to get the truck, which we did. But again, man, I saw what was coming, and I was very proactive, and we started cutting back. I started reworking my budget, looking at where we could cut costs and save money. Because ultimately, and I think this is what a lot of people need to learn, it's much better to have money than to look like you have money. It's much better to have money than to look like you have money. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to get on social media and flex and post a lot of stuff. But if you struggling, man, and you hurting, and is it really worth it, bro, for some likes and some clicks? And unless you're getting monetized and you're getting paid off of it, that's something totally different, because then it's a cycle. It's a business. You know what I'm saying? But if you just out here flexing for the sake of flexing, just to try to impress other people, and you taking on a whole bunch of debt, which right now it's a horrible time to be taking on a bunch of debt, then you living on borrowed time. So we got to learn how to practice financial discipline. We got to cut back. And I mean, again, I look at it, I was definitely in a position where we could have splurged a little bit. And we still, I'm grateful. Our situation was very, we made a lot of good decisions, and even right now I can weather the winter, and we can still move in this business as usual, and we can operate that way just because, again, we were proactive and we made smart decisions. But a lot of people are going to be hit hard, and they're going to be underwater, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be scary, because you don't want to make the sacrifices today so that you could be in a better position tomorrow. And it just boils down to sacrifice and discipline. You got to be willing to sacrifice, man. Instead of buying those Kobe's that came out today, you might want to chill and, just say, you know what, I'll get them later. Because here's the thing, guys, eventually there's going to come a point where a lot of people have a lot of stuff, and they're going to need to sell that stuff in order to raise money. It's called liquidating assets. When stores go out of business, they try to sell everything. They sell the racks, they sell the clothes, they try to sell whatever they can get to get cash so that they can pay their bills. You're going to have a lot of people liquidating their assets and selling things so that they can, raise money to pay their bills. And that's when you're gonna want to buy. Those same Kobe's today, yeah, the price is gonna go up for a lot of people, but at the same time, a lot of people are gonna be conducting little internal fire sales and getting rid of everything because they need to get money. So, that's what you want to wait for. And, you want to kind of sit tight and be patient. And I don't know, guys, the way things are looking, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm above it. Shoot, if things get rough, I might have to sell some stuff. I've been there before. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. I've been in a position where I had to sell everything before. And, I always tell y'all the stories of when I was down in the worst possible case and I just didn't have anything and I had to start from scratch over. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted and think that I'm invincible or it can't happen to me or I'm extremely insulated. Like, the economy is hitting everybody right now. It's rough all around. So, you definitely want to be financially responsible and make sure that you're putting things in place, especially if you're the breadwinner, you have a family, you got people that you got to provide for, you got to make sacrifices and you got to cut back, man. If not, you can cut back voluntarily or you can cut back forcefully. But in this economy, a lot of people don't really understand what's going on. And that's kind of why I'm so passionate about making these types of videos, man. Because, we got a lot of people that, they talk about things, but they don't really talk about the reality of what's going on. And a lot of people are out here just blind. They don't see it. They don't understand. They don't realize that if you make $52,000 or less, you don't really have money like that. And you need to be focusing on trying to get your resources up, meaning you get your credentials up. You might need to go back to school, or you might need to look into a trade or something that you can do to increase your income, because $3,400 a month and rent is almost $2,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. It's like, it's bad math, bro. Like, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. So, you got to be willing to sacrifice and cut back and think about the long game and plan. And, again, shoot, Black Friday, bro, there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to buy that I just said, you know what? Right now, I'm going to chill. I'm going to make sure, we got our stuff together. And, that's money that could be going towards a lot of other things that I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to chill. You know, could we buy XYZ? Yeah, we probably could. But in 2 months or 3 months, we're going to be looking crazy. We're going to be sad. We're going to be trying to figure out where the money went. And it's because we just had to have that new fitted. We just had to have those new clothes. We just had to buy that Black Friday sale. And it's like, you don't have to, guys. Like, it's okay, man. It's all right. It is all right. And I think we don't say that enough, bro. Like we really don't say that enough to each other, man. Like, there's not enough people out here. We got my boy Jamari in the building. He said, "You're not lying. This was one of my biggest wake up calls. I had to pass on the Ali T, man. Hey, bro, I didn't get the Ali T either, dog. Like, I was looking at it, and then he extended the shout out to my brother Newbie Digital, man. Like, we had these conversations all the time about finances and money and things like that. You know, and I passed on the T too. Again, it's like, bro, we live in our borrowed time because we have savings, and we have savings because, again, sacrifices. I made the sacrifices, I put money away, and I didn't touch it. And it takes patience and it takes consistency, man, because there's been times where we've saved up bread, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go on a buying spree. And I messed up the money, y'all. I did. So understand, I'm not saying these things from a position of I'm better than y'all and I'm just great and I'm so smart and I know everything. No, I'm telling you this because I've made these mistakes. I've been there before. I had to sell everything. Let me see. And of course, your boy always pulls up receipts, dog. Like, I can show y'all, man. Like, a couple years ago, I was on Poshmark heavy and I was just letting things go. And the thing about, if you understand sneakers, let me see, bro, when he extended the site, I almost lost it. It took everything in me. Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. I mean, you did the right thing, man. If you don't have it right now, we got to normalize saying, right now it ain't time, and we got to be okay with that. We got to be good with that, bro. Like every time ain't the time, But so yeah, let me show y'all, man. My Poshmark, I had a lot of stuff that I let go, and what they don't tell you, like, let me see, Jeremy Scott's leopards, and look at the price, dog. I had to sell. The thing about selling and reselling is sometimes you got to take L's. Like these, I don't remember what I paid for the Jeremy Scotts, but right here, these Aqua 8s, they are my grills. Those are my favorite shows. Anybody, my shoes. Anybody that watches me consistently knows how I feel about Aqua 8s. So guys, when I had to sell my Aqua 8s, bro, I was devastated. And I didn't get my money back. I paid 160 for them. I sold them for 130. You know what I'm saying? I took a $30 hit, Bordeaux's 120. Chicago's 120. Like, I don't know why my picture's up there, but shoes, bro, I had to sell them. So I'm not telling y'all, things that I don't know or things that I haven't been through. I had to sell all of my favorite shoes, y'all. You talk about a humbling experience. Like right here, these Barclays, and they just came back out recently. I had them. I had to sit there and sell my Barclays so I could pay my rent. My second favorite shoe. My first favorite shoe is the Aqua Ace. My second favorite shoe is Barclays. I sold them for $58, y'all. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, when I say this stuff, I'm not saying it from a position like, oh, I'm so much better and I'm above y'all and I've never been there. Bro, I had to sell my shoes, dog. Like, that's how I know. And you got to sit there. That's how I can tell y'all, one day somebody's going to sell their shoes because they got to pay their rent. I know because I had to sell my shoes so I could pay my rent. And bro, it's not a good feeling. So yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's better to sacrifice now today when you can control it and not buy those t-shirts that you want, or not buy, like, there's a t-shirt on J. Crew that I was looking at for the longest. It's like $98. And Black Friday, it was on sale, 50% off. And I was like, man, should I just go ahead on and pull the trigger and buy this shirt? And I said, you know what? No, again, I'm not going to buy this shirt right now because we're living off savings. I got to make sure that all the bills are paid. My wife works, you know what I'm saying? She has a job and she does her thing, but I pay the bills. So I got to make sure that we still good. And I'm living off saved money right now. So I got to be smart. I got to be responsible, and I got to make sure the house is good so that she can maintain the lifestyle that she's used to. Now, if we have to adjust or things change, then yeah, we're going to do what we have to do. It is what it is. I'm not saying that we above it, but at the same time, if we can avoid it and we can prevent it by, not making stupid decisions today, then it is what it is. Yeah, those Aqua Ace meant a lot to you. I remember selling assets is a smart move. It is, bro. It is. I mean, you got to do what you got to do when those situations come up, man. I hated it. And I mean, now I got a couple pair, and if I gotta sell them again, I can sell one pair or I can sell two pairs. You know what I'm saying? Like I got three pairs just chilling right now. But that's because, I waited, I was patient, opportunity came up, and I just got them. So, we just gotta normalize, and it's not our fault. I mean, on yesterday's video, I talked about how social media is manipulating kids, but it's not just manipulating kids; it's manipulating us grown people too. You know, we're constantly comparing ourselves with other people based on what we see when we scroll on these feeds. We're constantly comparing ourselves to people that we see on Complex or Hype Beast, or people that we watch on YouTube, or just, there's so many accesses of ways that we can get on the internet and compare ourselves to other people. And we don't know what those people did to get those things. We don't know what those people are going through. Prime example, and we're not going to get too deep into it, but if you look at the Cassie and Diddy situation, on one hand, it looked like Cassie was living a perfect life. She was getting flued out. She was doing all this and all that. And she was living a dream. If you looked on her Instagram, it looked amazing. It looked perfect. She's going on all these places, doing all these things. And Cassie ain't dropped a song in like 10, 15 years. And she's still up because of her boyfriend. And then it comes out that it all wasn't what it seemed to be. And that's the other thing. And I'm not going too deep of a tangent, but a lot of you young guys out here, man, that are dating right now, and you're dealing with this pool, and you got to compete with the ballers when they come to your city, and you got to compete with the high value men and all of these 6-figure people and XYZ, just remember, a lot of times the women that fall for that and go with that, they're dealing with a lot of stuff and they're probably damaged and scarred because, again, look at Cassie, bro. Like, she got married and everything, but Cassie will probably never be that 19-year-old she was before she met Diddy. And, her husband, I don't know what their relationship is or what their life is like every day, but I'm pretty sure she's shot. She's traumatized, just looking at the things that she listed, you know. And I'm not telling y'all this so y'all can look and pick at women because what they got to go through and what they got to deal with, because I think on the other part of the video yesterday, I was just talking about the preservation of life and self-interest and how part self-preservation, how far people are willing to go just to make sure that they're okay. So as men, we got to understand that, there's always going to be somebody that makes more money than us. There's always going to be somebody that potentially works harder than us. So we just have to always make sure that we're not necessarily comparing ourselves and we're being the best version of ourselves. And the best type of woman you can get in terms of dating is somebody that likes you for you and not for the resources that you have or what you can do for them. If you find that, you are lucky, and don't mess it up. Cash your chips, leave the casino, walk away, get married, and go. Like that, especially in this economy and in this dating market, if you can find someone that likes you for you and cares about you, then cash in your chips, bro. Like you don't really want to be out here playing a game. And it's crazy because I talked to a lot of guys and a lot of my homies and stuff that are single and are out here, and they ain't happy for the most part. Now, granted, you got some people that are, and they're just making do. You just got some people that are going to adapt to any scenario, and it is what it is. But a lot of people are like, this ain't it. So anyway, let's get back into the article. Um, Unfortunately, the consumer debt party is coming to an end because financial institutions are starting to become significantly tighter with their money. And let's talk about that. So here's the thing about a recession. I mean, not a recession, inflation. So when I was in grad school getting my MBA, economics, the first thing that they teach you is monetary. Well, not the first thing they teach you, but one of the first things that they teach you is monetary policy. And inflation is a tool. They use inflation. If there's too much money out there, then they use inflation. They raise the interest rates. And when they raise the interest rates, that means that people spend less money. And the problem is what's going on now, just to give y'all a realistic breakdown of what's going on. It may sound confusing. So let me make it simple. So if there's too much money out there, the what are they called? I can't think. I'm having a brain fart right now. The what is it? The federal bank, the Fed, y'all. So if there's too much money out there, the Fed says we need to stop this spending. Otherwise, the value of the dollar is going to go down. So we are going to raise the interest rate. And interest is just money that you pay back for a loan that you borrow. So if you say, I need to borrow $5 and I give you $7 tomorrow, then the $2 that you give back is the interest. So you give them the money that you borrowed, which is called the principal. The principal is the $5. So if I give you $5, that is the principal. The interest is the $2. The percentage, the interest percent is just basically a percentage of that actual amount. So if I give you 2%, you pull out your calculator, you look at 2% of $5. Let's see. 2% of $5. $5 minus 2% is a penny. So I give you $5.1 or $5.01. That math might be a little off. I don't know. I just do something out there. So that's pretty much how it works. Again, the principal is the money that you borrowed, the $5. The interest is going back to the $7 concept that we use. The $2 that you pay back on top of the $5, the $7 is your interest. So if you raise the interest rate, that means you're paying more money for the money that you borrowed. So let's say, hey, same $5, but this time I say that you're going to pay me back $10 in interest because we're increasing the interest rate. So now that $5 that you're borrowing is going to cost you $15 because you're paying me my $5 back, the principal, and then you're paying me $10 plus, which is the interest. So that $5 cost you an additional $10 or $15 total. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm hoping that if I tell you that for that $5, you're going to pay me $15 back, you're going to say, you know what? That's a bad deal. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to chill on my money. I'm going to hold it. I don't need that $15. I don't need $5 and I have to pay $15 later. Now, in some situations it makes sense. Let's say you're starting a business and you need $5 and you're going to make $100. You just found some crazy flip online. Some guy told you that they could turn your $5 into $100, and let's say it's legitimate, it's on the right side of the law, it's not a DJ Envy situation allegedly, and they actually do turn your $5 into $100. If your interest rate is $15, then you're still making a very decent profit. So it makes sense. 100 minus 15, you're looking at $85. So that $15 you spent or you paid back in interest, you made $85. That's a good deal. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. And there are a lot of businesses that are using loans in that case, and it makes sense. But then you got people that are the problem, and here's where the problem arises. You got people that are borrowing the $5 and the interest rate is $10. We're just using money because it's simple, and they're going out to eat. You know what I'm saying? Or they're buying those Kobe's that just came out today. So the shoe costs $85 and the interest rate, well, no, the shoe is $190. My bad. The shoe is $190 and the interest rate, let's just say it's still $15. So instead of buying the shoes for $190, you got to pay that money back. And so that's where it gets tricky at, because a lot of people think that credit is just free money, or they don't really understand how interest rates work. And they think that if they just use their credit card, then they're not worried about the interest, or they'll just have money later and they can pay down the interest. But if that money's not guaranteed, that is essentially how people fall into debt, because the bills keep coming and they're not bringing enough money to pay down the debt in a timely enough period. And that's how your credit score drops. And, that's how people get sunk into this trap that they call the consumer debt party. Now, let's see. I hope that made sense. Let me know if that made sense. If it was confusing or I went left or, it didn't track, let me know and I'll re-explain it in a different way. Also, something else that's happening, the number of homeless Americans is spiking as well. And here's the thing. A lot of people have a confusion. They don't really understand what what being homeless means. So let me show y'all what being homeless means. Because being homeless doesn't mean that you're living on the side of the street and, living in a tent, or you're living on the side of the road, or whatever the case may be. Being homeless means that you don't have an address. It means you don't have a stable, safe, and functional house. If you live on your girlfriend's couch and your address, you don't get mail there, then you are homeless. If you live with your mom and dad, then, technically you could be considered homeless. Technically, depending on how it works, a lot of people don't take that and try to turn into T.I.'s son and act like you in the trenches because you live at home. That's not necessarily. I think that, yeah. Let's scratch that. You know, again, if you living on your girlfriend couch and you don't get mail there, you're homeless. If you are couch surfing, that is homeless. A lot of people, when they think about these situations, they think about the extremes and they don't realize sometimes it's mild. Again, for example, a lot of people don't understand that $52,000 and below is considered lower income. If you make less than $52,000 a year, then you're considered lower income. When people think about low income, they think about people that, are destitute and poor. That's an extreme example. That's not necessarily what it means to be low income. You know, Technically speaking, you know, my first year teaching, my salary was $30,000. $30,000, I think. I was low income. And again, we got to normalize. I think a lot of people, because they're trying to compete and they're trying to compare themselves to other people, they don't want to be honest and they don't want to be real about their situations. And so that's how people fall into credit card debt. And that's how I experienced my first round of credit card debt, because I was trying to live a lifestyle above my means as a teacher because I didn't really understand how money worked. And again, that's how I found out a lot of this stuff. People wonder where knowledge and wisdom comes from. It comes from experience. You bump your head enough, and you realize, maybe I shouldn't do that. And from there, you get wisdom and you know not to make that same decision again. And unfortunately, what happens is a lot of people don't have those come to Jesus moments where, they realize that, hey, I'm bumping my head over and over and over, and I keep getting in these same situations, and I can't figure out why. And then they're looking up in the sky, trying to figure out what's going on, or they're looking down at the ground, blaming whatever is down there. And really, it's none of those things. It's you. It's you. It's you, because you don't want to be realistic and you don't want to say, you know what, maybe I don't need to eat out today, or maybe I don't need those sneakers, or maybe I don't need that hat, or maybe I don't need to go to the club, or maybe I don't need to download that new CD, or maybe I don't need Netflix right now. Maybe instead of getting on Netflix, I need to, figure out how I can get this new certification, or how I can go back to school, or how I can make the most of my time. You know, Free time is a luxury, guys. Like, you got to understand, man. If you're black, then there's a high majority chance that your ancestors were slaves. They didn't have free time. You know, if they weren't slaves, let's go one more generation. If your grandparents grew up in the Jim Crow era, they didn't have free time. They worked, they went to sleep, they woke up. Free time is a luxury, man. Like, and I think a lot of us, looking at social media, we think that free time is a mandatory thing, or it's given, or it's a right, or it's something that we just deserve because we're here. And that's not how capitalism works. That's not how this ecosystem and this structure is set up. Like, you got to get out here, man. You got to grind. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been sold a bad bill of goods and they don't really understand how the world works, which I think that's something else we need to talk about. I may do one about corporate America and just the realities of corporate America, because that's just stemming on a conversation that I had again with Newbie. And we were just talking about how a lot of people just really don't understand how cutthroat corporate America is. And so, maybe we need to talk about that. Just what you need to do in order to be able to live and survive out here. And, it's not just slaves, you got other people too. Like, what people don't understand is, white people don't have it that great either. You got the higher ups who are living amazing, and then you got your average people, and they ain't doing too hot either. A lot of them came from indentured servants, and they came from, read your histories, man. Like, there's a great book on Will Durant, A People's History of the United States of America. It's a really long read, but there's a lot of really good information about the world here in America. The world, and how America interacted with the world, and how America was built in reality. You should definitely read that book. The People's History of the United States by Will Durant. I don't remember his wife's name. I think she was involved in the book as well. But yeah, great book. As a matter of fact, I'll show you later. But yeah, let's keep it moving. The middle class is really coming apart at the seams right in front of our eyes. And that is one of the reasons why so many people have why can't I say that? Such short fuses these days. Even the smallest things can turn some people into raving lunatics at this point. For example, one woman actually drove her SUV into a Popeyes restaurant because an order of biscuits was missing. I wish that I could say this was an isolated incident because it wasn't. Um, yeah, man. When people don't have money, when you put people in high stress situations, man, people fall apart. The good thing is, a lot of us grew up in low income households. A lot of our parents were low income earners, and we didn't know it. We didn't understand it. um, Hopefully, looking at that information and looking at the numbers puts a lot of things in perspective. Because sometimes, we think that a lot of people are just negligent because they don't care, when in actuality, a lot of people don't care because they don't know, because we don't have these conversations enough where we just sit down and we be honest and we share with each other. Like, yo, if you make less than $52,000, then you are low income. It's not a bad thing. It's not the end of the world. There are some things you can do in order to increase your income. But right now you're low income. And if you're low income, you need to live your life a certain way. And then again, relationships. You're gonna see a lot of people getting into relationships, and then household incomes are gonna increase. Because if you have one person making $52,000 and then the other person is making $52,000, then guess what? That household income is $104,000. And guess what? Now you have a middle income household. Now am I telling you to pair off with somebody just so y'all can live together and pay bills? No. But what I'm saying is there are advantages to being in relationships. Again, it needs to be based on love, and you need to actually like each other, because domestic violence is rising too. Because when people don't have money, they act crazy, as you can see right there. There's your proof. So we gotta have these honest conversations. We gotta be real with each other. We gotta understand that yes, the middle class is disappearing, and one, we have to understand, in order for something to disappear, you have to know what it is. Once you know what it is, you can figure out how to deal with it and what you need to do in order to, make sure that you're maneuvering the best way possible. A lot of times people are fighting in situations and they don't even know what they're fighting because they never stopped and got out of survival mode to actually take a look at what they're dealing with. So I encourage everybody, I know my people that are watching right now are already doing this, so I don't need to tell y'all that. So I'm speaking to everybody now that's going to be looking at the playback. When y'all look at the playback, man, don't be disappointed or upset. Just realize where you are, be honest with yourself, and figure out what you need to do to get out of those types of situations. Because situations happen to everybody. Um, there's always a way out, and there's always solutions. Sometimes you might have to get an extra job. And here's the thing about that too. Let me just say, if you do find yourself in a position where you're working multiple jobs, then what you need to do is you need to figure out what you're going to do with the extra income. If you're working 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the bills, then you got to look at what you can do to actually multiply your value. So think about going to school and getting a certification. Um, a lot of certifications you don't even have to go to school for. You can just go online and do the trainings. So, for example, again, I reference myself because it's just easy. So, I'm working on my OSHA 30 certification. It's something that I can do online. When I finish, they give me my certificate. I can print it out. They'll put my card in the mail, and boom, wherever I go, I can update it. I can put it on my LinkedIn page. There's a couple other construction certifications that I'm working on. Same thing, it's independent. You want to try to find things that you can do that are independent. That way, you're not dependent on job specific training. Because if you're focused on job specific training, if you no longer work for that job, then your skills are no longer useful. And that's what happens to a lot of people in the army. They do army specific jobs. And then when they get out of the army, they can't really find anything that transfers. And they usually end up being police officers or, service workers, because that's the kind of closest thing they can come into. But you always want to make sure that you find things that are career specific and not necessarily job specific. That way, if one job messes up, you could go somewhere else. Or if you want to work for yourself independently, then you have credentials that verify who you are and what you've done. Um, you don't necessarily have to go back to school, because I know a lot of people aren't really school minded and that's not for them. And that's absolutely okay. I mean, I know a lot of people that just went on YouTube and they spent a lot of time studying and learning different courses and trades and doing things like that. Even LinkedIn has LinkedIn certifications. I know Google has Google certifications. Um, I personally like going through um, systems that are tied to actual groups. So, for example, I'm a licensed home inspector through Internachi, and what that means is, the group Internachi gave me my certification, and I have access to the Internachi group where I can talk to other home inspectors across North America. I can go to conferences and I can do things like that to show my value. Um, OSHA, I don't think OSHA has one like that, but I'm also going to be working on getting my certified construction management accreditation. And with that, there's a group that I'm attached to. I get a badge and all that cool stuff. You get these credentials again for credibility. And credibility shows that you're trustworthy. It also shows that you're willing to commit to something for an extended period of time and follow specific criteria and milestones. And it just shows that you're valuable. And so those are things that I always push and I encourage people to look into. So yeah, that's it, guys. Let me see what else we got. What else can we talk about? I ain't gonna hang on here too long tonight because I have to work out. I'm still doing my 75 hard. I can tell you about that. I got to start over again because my mom made some type of rice casserole and apparently there was cheese in it and I did not know. So ignorance of the law does not, give you a pass. So got to start over. And I know yesterday I was telling y'all about the little man that pops up, Andy Frisella. Let me show y'all. This is the message that you get when you have to start over. You let the little inner bitch voice beat you. I mean, that's what happens, bro. I got to look at this guy looking at me disappointed and talking trash. So y'all see in real time, I failed. It is what it is. I failed. And this says I'm showing integrity. So yeah, man, I gotta start over. We gonna do it. Still gotta finish my water. I still gotta get my second exercise in. Um, as a matter of fact, where is my water? Gotta finish my water. Um, gotta read all that good stuff. So I ain't gonna be hanging out here much longer, man. Unless y'all got questions or y'all got anything in particular y'all want to talk about. Unless y'all got something that y'all want to talk about tomorrow. Starting to get a little bit more comfortable doing these, man. As y'all can see, I got the thumbnail up early today. I announced it. Got to figure out what we're gonna talk about tomorrow. Maybe it'll be like I forgot what I said earlier. Corporate America. Dealing with cutthroat corporate America. That might be a good topic for tomorrow, man. How to deal with cutthroat corporate America. Let me know if that's something y'all want to see. If that's something y'all think would be a good video. It's gonna be a while before we get to 500. I lost a subscriber today. So I don't know. We in this for the long game, baby. I said we gonna do it every day until we hit 500. So whatever the case may be, we gonna be up on here, man. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the content. Cause like I said, man, it's easy to talk about low hanging fruit and go viral instantly, but to have these types of difficult conversations about the middle class and you know low income earners and middle income earners and high income earners, those are difficult conversations to have, but those are conversations that we need to have because you listen to the music, nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about what they have, or they're talking about street stuff. And thanks for the gems, can't wait for tomorrow, of course, bro. you know um Having these types of conversations, they're not sexy, they're not cool, they're not something that's going to blow your channel up instantly, but they are needed, bro. Like, again, there's a lot of younger people that don't know what low income is, and they're out here trying to live high income lifestyles off of low income salaries, or they're hourly and they're trying to figure out how to get out of the rat race. And I've been there, man. Like, again, you always got to remember, I'm speaking from a position of I've been there, bro. Like, I was there working. Again, I always say it, but I was working at Food Lion with an MBA, making $11 an hour, and that was a favor. He looked out for me, giving me that money, and I'm extremely grateful for it because I had to do what I had to do so I could take care of my kid. And from there, I moved up here, and the first job I took, you know, I wasn't making that much money. I was a low income earner. I went from being an hourly person to making low income. And then from there, I moved up to the next job. And then I was still low income, but I was making more than I was previously. And then from there, I was able to move from, actually, no, no, yeah. My second job, I was low income. I was low income. Yeah. I was still low income. And then, I left there and I went to my next job. And there I went from low income into middle income. And then I went from middle income to higher middle income. So, it's possible, it can happen, and you know you got to understand that there's going to be valleys, there's going to be peaks, there's going to be times when things go good, there's going to be times when things go bad. And usually when times go bad, it's never just one thing that goes bad. Usually it's like five or six bad things that happen at once. But the good news about that is if you make it through on the other side, then you'll have a nice little window where things are good for a minute. And then when they're good, you got to prepare for when things get bad again. And that's the other thing, man. And I'm going to probably drop off after this. I just wanted to say this, when things are good, when everything's working out, when you're making that bread and, you don't really have that much stress going on and things are somewhat stable, that is when you need to be the most diligent. That's when you need to be prepared. That's when you need to be saving. That's when you need to be planning for things to go wrong. You know, a lot of people wait until things go wrong and then they get blindsided because they're trying to figure out how to get out of the hole. And you're already fighting an uphill battle. No, what you need to be doing is when everything's smooth and when everything's going right and when things are good, that's when you need to be figuring out and planning. If everything went wrong tomorrow, what would you do? Like, and you need to have levels of extremes. Like, I remember one time I was playing a game with my friends. Like, if you had a day to get out of the country, could you do it? Where would you go? How would that look? Now granted, that's a very, very, very extreme case, but in the event that that happens, could you do it? You know, um, if you lost your job tomorrow, how long could you relax and be comfortable before, pressure's hitting you and you got to do something and you just got to take any job that you can get because you're desperate and you need money? You know, I'm not going to sit here and act like, I can sit here and chill until 2025 and the house is good and we're going to be all right. I'm not saying that at all. But, I got time. So I'm not just taking anything that I can get just to have something. You look, you can see I'm comfortable. I ain't gonna lie, I get aggravated, I get stressed. The past few months have been crazy because it's been nonstop and it's been irritating. But I'm not out here losing my mind or going crazy. I had a nervous breakdown. Well, not a nervous breakdown. Let me not say that, because that's totally different. I had an anxiety attack when I was working. Again, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't stress out when things are at the lowest. You stress out when things are, good. When I was working, that's when I was having anxiety attacks because I was worrying about when things aren't working. And now that things aren't working, I'm calm. I'm good because I've already been there. I've already played out this scenario in my head months ago. I already thought about what would happen if they let me go. I was already planning for it. I was already working on it. So I wasn't blindsided at all. And that's, if you don't take anything away from this video, if you're in the lower income, then you always got to think about what happens if I lose my source of income. And that's how you need to plan. That's how you need to live your life. Unless you're a high income earner, which at the very least, based off of the Pew Research, you need to be making $156,000. If you don't make that, then you're low income and you need to figure out what you can do in order to be good. So, with that being said, y'all, I'm going to sign out. We're going to be back again tomorrow. We're going to be doing it every day until your boy hits 500 subscribers. So, do me a favor, help me out, share this video with somebody else, spread the message. If there's somebody that can take this information and use it, pass it along, man. Help me out, guys. I really need it. I'm trying to get to 500 and I need y'all, man. Share this video, drop a like. If you in here, man, let me see. I don't have any likes on this video, which is crazy. I got 3 people in here. I have 4 to 5 people in here. I ain't get not one like yet, man. Come on, man. Let me get some likes, man. We doing all this talking and y'all thanking me for the gems. I appreciate it. But let me get some likes, man. Again, share this video. Like, come on, man. Look out for your boy, man. If y'all like it and y'all value the content and the information, then show me, man. Let me get some likes, man. I ain't asking for much. So on that, I'm gonna holler at y'all. We're gonna be back again. We're gonna do it tomorrow. All right. Let me go exercise.